What's up, TCCTU and ORU? It is Samson here for another episode, and might I say the very first episode of this season, where we are going to be diving into the lives and stories of freshmen. So welcome to the Fitting Room. I thank you so much for tuning in and checking out this podcast, whether you're listening online, or you're listening on audio. Well, everyone's listening online.
Like if you're watching it.
If you're watching it
yeah.
on YouTube, or if you're listening to it on some podcast platform, we welcome you. And we have a special guest with us today, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
All right, hello everyone. I'm gonna just start off with just basics. My name is Citlaly. I'm going to TCC for the fall semester, and I'm a psychology major. And I was born and raised here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Hey, the
Yep.
good old Tulsa.
You gotta stay faithful. That's why I'm going to TCC. What are you talking about?
Oh, that is awesome. So we are curious, and we're just gonna dive straight in. How'd you get here? Tell us a little bit of how you got here.
Honestly, I'm just gonna say story's kind of boring just because I hear everybody else saying, oh, I didn't know where I was gonna go. I didn't ever think that I was gonna end up at this school. That wasn't the plan that I had, and it just went that way. But I kind of just always knew that I was gonna come to TCC just because, for the sole reason that they have Tulsa Achieves.
That's facts. Tulsa Achieves.
Tulsa Achieves. I can come here for 2 free years.
Yeah.
And it's school. I get school for free. You'd think I'm gonna pass on that and go on to some other university. Like, I have people telling me, it's a two ends. It's either people saying, no, you should go to this 4-year university because it's better, this and that, well, like, for just a plethora of reasons. And then there's people going, oh my God, yeah, that's smart. I wish I did that. Or people saying, yeah, I did do that, and it was really, really good.
No,
So I
true.
just kind of always knew I was going to come here. And then I have 2 older brothers, and one of them came here. So I was like, I mean, yeah, it's easy, and I can always just transfer out.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what the program is made for. So it's really easy. It was just really easy to set up.
Yep.
And it's bad. And it was a community college, so I didn't think I was going to get rejected. I didn't. But, like, that just sounds like I'm not actually going here.
It's not bad to say. It's not bad to say at all.
No, what's bad about it is I didn't apply to any other universities because I knew I wasn't going to go anywhere else.
That's fair.
And
that's
I always
fair.
hear everyone being like, oh, like, I needed a backup or just in case or whatever. But I always knew everybody since, like, sophomore year probably were asking me, yo, like, where are you going to go to school? Do you know what you're going to do yet? And I would always say, no, yeah, I'm going to TCC. Well, for a minute, I said I was going to go to OSU, Oklahoma State University.
Yeah.
But then I learned more about Tulsa Achieves. I said, no, I'm taking that up.
So it was mainly the financial benefit of Tulsa Achieves that made you.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that makes sense. You know, that it's crazy because especially making this decision as a freshman, there are a lot of people who are taking on these large loans and trying to go to these big schools. And maybe they're going there for their friends, or maybe they're going there for their significant other, right? Like, they're going there for reasons. And so that's cool to hear that.
Yeah, some of my my friends that were like a year above me, one of my friends was like, yeah, I'm taking out really big loans. They're not baby loans. And it's just like, it's scary because I'm 18? And sure, like, I'm a legal adult. And, like, whenever you were younger, you would look at kids in high school even, or just anyone a little bit older than you, and you would think, oh my goodness, these people, they're so old, they're so mature. But, like, now you're 18, I'm like, man, I'm still a kid.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the government says. I'm still a child. So it's just crazy to me, and, like, everyone else being like, oh, I have to take out these loans and I have to start making all these decisions for money and stuff. And I was like, even if I did have the like, if I had the money to go to some, like, 4-year university, I still think that I would have chosen this. Just because it would make it so much easier in the long run, too.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people who are still trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives, too. So trying to figure out what you want to do at a university level can be a little intimidating.
Yeah, that's also kind of why this is really good, because I kind of really don't really know what I want to do yet. So going to a 4-year university and then hearing, like, oh, you can always change your major, but that's also just, it's not as easy. Like, people make it seem like it's just like, oh, a whatever thing, but like you gotta think about it a little more than just, oh, I'm gonna change majors. So it just makes it so much easier here. Just like you can take your gen eds and like some basic classes and stuff without, even if I wasn't doing Tulsa Achieves, like it's still so much more affordable and just whatever than going to a 4-year university or some big school and saying, oops, I don't actually like doing this, let me change my major. Like, it's not easy.
No, that's so true. That's so true. So you mentioned something, and it kind of makes me a little curious to know. So you say your major is psychology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going into psychology. Are you thinking about or still in a in-between place with your major, or are you really committed to psychology?
I think I'm really committed to psychology. One, because I kind of have always thought about like helping people, and just because like now like the popularity or like the more awareness of like mental health has come to a rise, and I think it's important, and I've always like, that's kind of what I wanted to do since I was little. I've always wanted to do something that benefits others.
Yeah.
And for a while I wanted to go into nursing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of thought about it more, and I said, ooh, that schooling, not going to do good. I'm not going to do good. Even if I wanted to be like, yes, I'll be the best nurse. Schooling, oh, that's hard. And I see all these people who are in nursing, and they're like, no, yeah, it's difficult. And I'm like, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. And I don't want to take that risk of, like, trying to do it and losing, like, everything. And it's not easy to just, oh, I'll just retake this test that's worth, like, a lot of money. Yeah. So... And, like, psychology, like, therapy, like, talking to people. I've always loved talking to others. I love listening. Giving advice, I'm not that good at it, but that's what you go to school for. So, you know, that'll help out. And I also kind of want to be a psychiatrist, where it's, like, the people who are like, you have this. I'm going to give you this kind of medicine.
Yeah.
But also, that's, like, you go to school for about as long as a doctor would.
Yeah.
It just takes forever, and maybe I'll end up doing that, but as of now I don't want to go to school for that long. So I'm like, yeah, just getting a psychology degree, maybe doing a little bit more school so I can become a therapist or do something like that would be fine.
Yeah. What it almost sounds like is, by going down the road of psychology, you have options where if you want to go into counseling, you can do that. If you want to go further and deeper, you can do that. But either way, you're going to be doing the thing that you love, connecting with people.
Yeah. And, like, this is also just one of the things. I really, really like talking. And I feel like it's one of the jobs where it's like you get to talk to other people and they talk to you back. And it's not just like a one-sided thing where I'm like, hey, what's up? Nothing. Hey, do you want to hang out? Or, hey, how's it going? Fine. Like, it's a job where it's like you can talk to people and you can genuinely, like, help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of people, including my mother, she doesn't want me to really do it because she says it's kind of a really heavy load. It's a burden because you can hear about all these super dark, like, very heavy cases about other people, and she doesn't want me to go through that because she knows that you have to be a really strong soul to do it.
Yeah. And
honestly, like, I'm not sure if I'm one of those people, but just hearing about other people's stories, I'm like, oh man, that's awful, but like I can help. So it's like, I know it might be a difficult journey if I do end up doing it and I go further and further into therapy and I, like, become the super licensed person who has all these things, but I carry like a super heavy load. Like, I know that might come with it. Yeah. But it's also, you are helping. There's always a positive side to it.
Yeah. And I've come to, and this is just something that is seen in my world when I talk to people and connect with people, but I noticed that kind of an older generation, like when we talk about our parents or grandparents, tend to view counseling, psychology in not the most brightest light. Yeah. And I think it's become more mainstream for millennial, Gen Z, right? This next generation. Because
it's always, I feel like in the older generations, or just anyone that's like older than millennials, or even just older millennials, it's just, you go to therapy? Dude, are you crazy? Yeah. Like, do you actually have something going on in your head? And you're like, oh, no, I'm just sad sometimes, but thanks for that, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, straight up. And it's interesting because our parents, grandparents were essentially raised by a generation that said you keep silent. You don't do counseling. You don't talk to somebody else about what it is you're going through. You muscle through it.
Yeah, it's just so there's this saying, there's this like Hispanic saying, I don't know if it's just Mexican, but it's ponte las pilas, which doesn't translate very well. It's just like put in your batteries, but it's basically just like, come on, like, let's hustle. You got it. Just go on, do it. Muscle it out. And it's sometimes you're like, okay, maybe I am being a little dramatic about it, but sometimes it actually is such a serious issue that I can't just say, oh, I'm gonna do it and then do it.
Yeah.
And it's so bad, but it's like, I think it's such a silly saying that our parents say, because it's so
Ponte las pilas.
Yeah.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah.
Okay, so something else that you mentioned was your mom saying that it's a lot of load for you to carry, that going into counseling, you're hearing all this stuff about people's lives and stuff. And I've heard it said that counselors, people who do counseling or therapy.
What?
I got to figure out how to turn these lights on.
That's crazy.
Hold on a second.
Oh my goodness. That just like went.
Thank you. Just that's what happens.
Are these
with
sensor lights?
I think so.
Oh. Oops. Maybe I'll just like wave my arms around every so often.
No, I think we'll make it, hopefully. But kind of going back to the question, I heard this, that counselors and those who do counseling, those who do therapy should have a counselor, should have a therapist. And so have you gone through any of yourself, or have you had any interest of going through counseling? If not,
I kind of wish I did, just because like I always like, it's always like such a silly thing being like, oh, you're teenagers, you haven't gone through much. But it's like, this is like, up to this point in my life, this is probably the hardest thing I've gone through. So like, I kind of wish that I had someone besides like my friends for me to be like, oh, I'm sad, or oh, this happened. Yeah, I kind of wish I'd done that. But I 100% agree that like counselors, therapists, whoever, like they should have their own person to talk to.
Yeah.
Because after a while of everybody talking to you, spilling everything on you, they're your clients. You can't do the same thing to them, or else they will definitely need therapy after that.
Can you imagine just sitting there and the counselor's just telling you their problems and you're sitting there like, is this what I'm paying for?
It's like, yo, I'm paying $150 an hour for you to cry to me? That's crazy, you guys.
Yeah. But I think there is some truth in going through this journey or this process of doing I mean, for myself, doing counseling, one of the beautiful things is just processing some stuff that happened in life, you know, good and bad, processing it. And so if you have all these people coming to you telling you these stories and you don't have a vehicle or a place to process it, it could eventually become overwhelming.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes you just need to say it out loud. And
that's true.
Just because like it'll make it easier for you to think it out, because I know that happened to me so much during school. I would say, oh man, I would read some problem and say, man, I don't know how to do this, and then I'd call a teacher over being like, yo, I don't know how to do this. They're like, okay, read it to me, and I would read it out loud, and I'm like, oh, just kidding, I got it. So sometimes you just gotta talk it out loud, or you realize that you don't actually know what you're talking about when you're talking about it out loud. Because there have been so many times where I'm like arguing, or I'm discussing something with someone, or we're just talking about whatever, and I realize I don't actually know what I'm talking about, or I don't know what my end goal is, because I'm saying it out loud, and I realize, oh, I don't actually have a complete thought about this. Yeah.
No, I definitely feel that. And that's a lot of wisdom, because sometimes, when we say stuff out loud and we hear it, it's so helpful. And that's why that's one of the beautiful things about counseling, when you sit down and you're talking it out, they're also saying what they're hearing from you. And so you get to hear what you're trying to say from someone else. Yeah. And then it's like, that actually doesn't sound good. Thank you for saying that, because that kind of helps me to understand what I'm really actually trying to say. Yeah,
I realized this so recently. I don't usually think about what I say before I say it out loud. So it's gotten me into some like strange situations, or just I say something, I was like, ooh, that did not sound correct. Let me rephrase this before I do that. No, and obviously your friends are going to start bullying you about it, or like picking fun at it, and then you just can't get back to your original thought. Yeah. But it's just like, it's such a train of like the difference between like, oh, okay, I'm thinking something, And then it's just I'm thinking over and over again. Oh, let me organize my thoughts, and you write it down.
Yeah.
Okay, I finally I wrote everything down. Oh, but let me talk it out loud now.
Yeah.
And it's always like you have to take another step to like finally like get all your thoughts in order.
No, that's true. And I love that you're bringing those two things out, both saying stuff out loud and journaling stuff down, writing stuff down, what your thoughts are. Because sometimes our thoughts can seem so overwhelming and all over the place. And then when we get them on a piece of paper, it's like, oh, this is what's in my head. It's not
Yeah.
as much as I thought.
Oh, yeah. And I used to keep a journal when I was younger. I say younger, I was like a freshman in high school or something.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find that journal and I open it and read it and I'm like, man, it really did help me to write everything down. And going back to that thing of like, do you wish you would like, or like counseling or whatever, like, yeah, I wish I'd done it maybe throughout high school or like had gone, because I read some of the things that I wrote down. I'm like, man, that really wasn't a big deal, but it was really such a burden for me at the time. And I read through it and I kind of giggle because I'm like, aw, like, aw, that's so cute. You really don't know what's coming, do you? Like, yeah. I think about myself at the time. I'm like, man, like this was my biggest, like burden. This was my biggest event going on in life right now. And it really just, in the long run, even a year later, it doesn't matter. It did not change.
And it almost sounds like that testifies of growth. Mm-hmm. Shows that you're growing. When you look back and it's like, oh, that was a big deal. It's like,
yeah, I see this trend on TikTok where it's like me in 2024. I was so cringe last year. And then it cuts to a picture of me in 2023. I was so cringe last year. And it just goes back and back and back. And it's like, well, at least you know I'm growing, right?
Hey, come on. That's the idea. I
see pictures of myself like sophomore, junior year, and I'm like, I thought it was so cool. I thought I was like all of that, and I look back at pictures, I'm like, man, oh no.
Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, so fill us in maybe on what's happening in life right now. Like, what are you dealing with? What are some blessings? What are some things that are challenges that you're experiencing right now?
Oh man, I want to say, like, there's quite literally only two things going on, and one of them is gonna be like ongoing. It's just the realization that I'm getting older and I have to start adulting, and it's like, oh, I registered for classes, oh, I did this, but like, have I ever done that before? No. These are all like new things to me, even if they're like small mundane things. It's still like, it's a step for me to like starting to do everything by myself. And like, I just realized that I have to start getting everything together. I have to actually start thinking in the long run.
Yeah.
Because as a sophomore, I could say, oh yeah, I wanted to do this for school, but then like it wasn't actually anything that would affect me. So now it's just having to fill out everything by myself, which like it sounds a little silly, but like going to the doctors or going anywhere and like having to fill out the forms by myself, like my mom has made me do them before, but like now because I am 18, I kind of like do have to fill them out by myself, and I can just be like, mommy, can you do this? Like, I have to start doing everything by myself. I have to register for classes. I have to actually read through things. Mm-hmm. I have to say, okay, this is going to be my plan for things. I can't just, no one's going to remind me, hey, we have this assignment due. Yeah. So I have to start actually keeping myself accountable for all of these things. And just, it's a little scary because I'm like, oh man, like, I know I'm still young. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to look back on this in a few months and be like, oh, you. But just, like, the fact that I have to start getting older.
Yeah.
And I don't want to act like it because I can be a really silly person. I like yelling a lot, just randomly. And it's, like, I feel...
Random yells is legit.
No, I'm so serious.
Random yells.
And it's, I feel like as you start getting older, acting younger, acting childish isn't as acceptable. But also, I know I'm still a child. Even though I'm getting older, I'm allowed to act like that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, mm-hmm. I have pigtails right now. And you're like, I don't want to have to present myself as someone older, someone more mature. Because that's just going to weigh down on your own mind.
Yeah.
Because, like, there have been people who, like, I just, like, my friends, other people who have had to grow up too fast. And it just, like, you can tell that takes a toll on people.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to do that. but I do have to consciously say I can't just goof around anymore.
No,
I can't just do that anymore. So I have to start keeping a balance of, I don't want to lose myself in having to get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like this combination between you have your personality that you want to maintain and hold on to, but you're walking into this professional world and you want to make sure to follow in suit with that.
Yeah, and I, in my head, I might be making too much of a big deal about it being oh, I'm in college now. But, high school and college are kind of the time, in quotes, the time to have fun.
Yeah.
Because my mom keeps telling me and my older brother keeps telling me, oh, once you're out of college and you have to find a real job, you can't be just having fun anymore. So I'm like, okay, I don't have to take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Never smile, be a stoic person or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just, having to keep that balance of, I want to keep being myself, but I also know that I have to be serious sometimes.
Yeah. And I think from what I'm hearing you, what it sounds like is you went from responsibility, sharing that with mom, family, right? You shared responsibility, and now you're entering a space where you have to take on responsibility and not as much sharing as there was before.
Yeah.
And so making it on time to things and making sure you turn things in on time and register, right? All of that is real.
And I could always just, because I have 2 older brothers, so I could always just be like, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you do this? Hey, I really need help. Can you basically do this for me, even though I'm only technically asking for help? I could do that. And I might not tell them to do it for me, but I'll just be like, hey, I kind of need help with this. Can you help me a little bit? But I know I'm going to have to do it by myself at some point.
Yeah.
I'll always have someone there to help me because they had already gone through it, and I have friends who have already gone through it. So I can always ask for advice.
Yeah.
But I know that I have to start doing everything myself because there will come a time where I have to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
And I would rather start learning sooner than later because that'll just come back and kick me.
No, for sure. Or maybe even there may come a time where you have to help someone else, right? If you have friends who are graduating this year, friends who are graduating next year, giving them advice, hey, watch out for these things.
Hey, make sure to do this on time, please. It screwed me over. Don't do that.
Pretty much. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Anything else that's happening currently? I know you mentioned 2 things. The first thing was adulting.
The second one, this one seems so silly, but relationships, and not even just romantic, but it's all of my friends or people who I once considered friends, and I don't know what we are at this point. I haven't talked to in months, but whenever we get together, it's still yo, what's up? Or just people maybe I had a problem with, or oh, there's this boy I like. So just having to figure everything out, because I have friends a year younger than me, and they just started their senior year of high school. Yeah. And I don't want to be that friend that's always talking to them, being yo, grow up, seriously. Yeah. But they're my really close friends, so I'm I don't know if I should always be oh, ha 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 hee hee, texting all the time, or being yo, let's hang out. Or my friends that are a year older than me, where it's oh, I don't know if you're too mature for me at this point. Yeah. Or just asking to hang out. It's oh, do you want to hang out with me? Do you have your own older friends or whatever? Mm-hmm. Which might just be I had bad friends and they made me feel I was too, in quotes, too young for them, or oh, you're too immature for this. Maybe I just had bad friends, but just having to figure out how close can I be with the people right around me. Yeah. And there's this guy that I like or whatever, and we're trying to figure everything out because it's he lives in a different state.
Oh, that's real.
Yeah, so it's I'm okay, well, I have these friends to worry about, I have this person to worry about, but I don't really know because it's kind of in the air. I have my family to worry about. Oh, there's this event coming up. Oh, I have school to think about. And I don't want to just completely kind of drop everyone, even though I think they would kind of excuse it. by being like, okay, yeah, I know she's starting school. It's a transition period. She's going from high school to college. Like, if she goes ghost for a little bit, I understand. But I also, like, I hate it when people do that to me. So I don't want to be the person to do it to them. So it's just having to figure everything out with people being like, oh, am I being too, like, clingy, too overbearing? Am I being too distant with these people? Just having to figure all of that out.
No, I can imagine. And, you know, just from hearing what you're sharing, it almost seems like you were, right, in high school, developed these friendships, developed these relationships, and now you're detaching from these friendships, detaching from these relationships, entering into a new space where maybe there might be a friend or two at, and you're processing that transition alongside of other things that are surrounding you.
Yeah, because I remember I had this friend, they graduated and then kind of just
floated away,
and I was so sad. But I knew, like, it was natural to happen. But it was just really sad, and I don't want that to happen to my, like, friends that I currently have.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel that we're much closer than the other friends that I had that, like, floated away or whatever. We're completely just not friends anymore. But it's just like, oh, I don't want that to happen to us, but I also feel like it's natural for it to happen if it does.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of silly. Maybe I'm just mean. Whenever we would see people who had graduated come back to, like, high school or being like, yo, let's hang out, we'd be like, ooh, you're kind of weird. Ooh, why are you hanging out with high school kids? Like, you seem so, like, you seem so pompous all the time, all hoity-toity, but you keep hanging out with your high school friends. Like, what is that all about? But now I'm kind of doing the same thing, and people are being more nice about it, but I know that there's people saying, ugh, why is she coming back? Because I promised my coach. So this makes me sound so, like, ooh, so cool, but I'm in acrobatics. I'm on an acro team.
Mm-hmm.
And I graduated, moved on or whatever. But since I'm still in the area and I'm still really close with everyone on the team, and I kind of actually pinky promised my coach that I would join this year. Yep. I'm going back and joining the high school team.
Yep.
And I don't know if people are going to side-eye me for it really bad, just being like, ugh.
Yeah.
She's going back into her high school team. That's weird. But then again, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I also was one of the people who was like, ugh.
No, it sounds like you're wrestling through this transition in your life.
Yeah, because I don't know what's okay and what's not.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the judge of that, even though I probably have to be, because I might let more things slide for me than for other people because it's me, and I prioritize myself over other people being like, oh, they're kind of weird, but I'm not. But it's okay because it's me.
That's what we all wrestle with right there.
Oh, yeah. So it's just having to not think too deep about it, just being like, okay, it's fine. Like, I have friends, people like me. It's fine. I can go back. But that's kind of what's been going on, just having to deal with these people, figuring out this boy, figuring all of these different things out.
Yup. No, that's what's up. And I think those are all fair things to wrestle with, which will probably require you to have patience with yourself as you navigate it, because it's hard. And I think a lot of people who, watching or tuning in, especially those who are freshmen, are trying to navigate very similar things. All right, they're trying to hold on to friendships, relationships from high school. They're trying to open to new ones as they enter into new space, and at the same time, they probably got relationships and all things that surround that. And so, there's a lot to navigate in that transition. So thank you for sharing that.
It's like, it's almost comforting to hear that I'm not the only one, even though I know, because there's thousands of different kids, like, going into freshman year. I see everybody, like, on Instagram being like, oh, yo, I just moved into my dorm for this school year, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's crazy, we're all freshmen now. So, and I feel like those people have even more to deal with, like, people who are moving out into dorms, because if you, like, hadn't already or whatever, you are finally living on your own. Yeah. You're having to do all of this by yourself. Mom's not there to clean up for you. Dad's not there to cook or whatever.
The adulting gets real at that point.
Oh, yeah. And recently, one of my friends, she's she's like 2-3 years older than me. She's 20, 21, something like that. She asked me, she was like, hey, are you looking to move out anywhere anytime soon? I said, oh, I can't afford that. So it's just like, man, like, it's gotten to a point where I can move out if I wanted to, but that's not realistic within even the next year. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Man, that's adulting and navigating relationships, friendships, romantic, all the nine. That's amazing. Okay, so when you see yourself in the future, what are you maybe looking forward to, or where do you see yourself kind of down the road?
I want to be married.
Yeah, that's real. That's like, real.
Well, that's just something for me, because all throughout growing up, I was one of those kids. I was one of those girls who was like, ugh, I hate the color pink, and I'm like, I like playing in dirt better than going and drawing with like girls or whatever. I don't like to brush my hair, which is very true. I don't like to brush my hair. I'm a boy, all this and that. I hate guys. I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. Then I started getting older, and I was like, no, but that actually sounds kind of nice. I do want to get married. I want to like have kids in this little house or whatever.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I know it's like something everybody dreams for, and then I barely see anyone ever have it, is like having just a stable life. It's having like something set. And like as I'm getting older, I realize nobody actually knows what they're doing. But like, just I'm looking forward to, I have a job and I'm out by myself and I can support myself. Or like if I'm married, we both have a job, we have a house, we're doing fine. It's not like, oh, I don't know, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I don't really have a job. It's not really stable. I don't know where I'm gonna live, which I know right now buying a house is insane. And I'm like counting on the market to crash before that. I'm so serious. I'm so counting on the market to crash so that I can finally buy a house.
Some hope to get a house.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping. You have to learn to hope and never expect. That's what I always say. I love to hope. I don't expect.
That's real.
That I'm just looking for a stable job, like I have a house.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm just looking forward to, having a peaceful enough life.
A peaceful enough life. That's real. Listen, hey, sometimes you have people who think that is something that's too far to reach for. Some people think that's the bare minimum, but I think when you know for yourself what it is that you're hoping for, looking for, I think it's helpful just in your direction.
Yeah, I also hope to just be able to find a job with like my degree, because I know as time moves on, there's people with like masters who aren't able to find jobs. So I just hope that with whatever amount of schooling I choose, that I can find a good enough job. Like that's always something scary, because when you were younger, you didn't think about it. You just said, oh, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna get a job after that, and that's how it works. Yeah. But I know that it's starting to get harder and harder to find a job with like only so much schooling. And one of my teachers at school, he was like, oh, you're doing psychology. You don't have to get a master's to basically be able to do anything, right? And I was like, oh, are you serious? So it's just like I'm like just a little scared having to not know how much schooling I have to do to actually be able to get a job in my field, because maybe I just get a degree and do something completely different. That's always a possibility. But if I'm planning on finding a job with my degree, I hope that I can.
No, I feel that. And I think it starts to really hit when you come into college that, oh, on the other side of this, the goal is to work, right?
Yeah, like, I have to find a job.
Like in high school, you're kind of thinking, go to college, start work. But when you get to the doors of freshman year, you start to realize, oh, yeah, on the other side of this, got to get serious. Yeah,
last night, my dad, my poor dad, he was like, yo, when are you moving out? I was like, no, I'm staying here at TCC. Like, because he was like, he knew I was going to school, but he was like, are you moving? I don't know. And I was like, no, I'm staying here. He was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm doing psychology. And he was like, dog, what are you going to do with that degree? And I was like, oh, I don't know. It's okay. Hee hee. And one of my brothers was like, yo, like, actually, our older brother actually told me to talk to you about that. Like, you need to get a degree that you can actually use. And I was like, I know.
That's the battle.
Yeah, and the scary thing is I know there's like hundreds of thousands of different degrees I could get, but I don't know what there is and what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because like I've always kind of want to help someone, but like how do you do that? Is it because kind of the thing most people just gravitate towards is, oh, like in medical you can be a nurse. Okay, well, what if I don't want to be a nurse? Oh, then like what else is there for me to do? What else in like that would I be good at is kind of what I'm thinking. Because I thought about it in my head. I was like, I feel like I would be a good nurse if I was if like being acting and doing whatever as a nurse. I think I would be good at that. Yeah. But the school for that is different. Like the school and the job is two different things. Having to do it and then like the work for it, all these different classes, that's a different thing than actually like acting on it, because it's always different in theory. Yeah. Right? Like it's embarrassing. I can't drive, but I know what you're supposed to do in theory. I'm like, okay, I know the road rules. I know you can do this. I know you can't do that. I know this is what you're supposed to do. But actually putting it into practice is so much more different. Yeah. Which is why I have to think about the schooling and the job rather than just thinking about, oh, this is what the job is going to be, or oh, this is what the schooling is going to be. Yeah. You kind of have to think about it together, because actually acting and just doing the classes for it are two completely different things. Like I hear stories about students being like, oh yeah, I mean, I did this in, like, I read about it and that was kind of it. So it's, yeah, just having to think about what can I do? What can I actually, realistically, what can I do? Because I can't just say, ooh, I'm going to be a doctor. Okay, the school for that's crazy. I can't just shoot for not even the stars, for another galaxy and hope I get there. But like, what can I do realistically? What would I enjoy? Yeah. And I know this is always like, people go back and forth on it, but can I make a living out of it? Mm-hmm. Because people are always like, don't do it for the money, do it if it makes you happy. But what if you choose something that makes you happy and makes you absolutely no money? So it's just, you have to find, it's such a gamble. You have to find something you enjoy and something you can live off of, but something you can realistically achieve, which if you work hard enough, you can achieve most things. I'm not going to say everything, because that's kind of unrealistic. But it's just it's a little scary. But that's kind of why I'm also here. It's just, there's a lot more wiggle room here at TCC than like something I have to pay thousands of dollars for. Yeah.
No, I definitely feel you. And I think what you're wrestling with is what a lot of other people are wrestling with that are coming in as freshmen. They're wrestling with their major. They're wrestling with the career, what makes them passionate, what makes them, excited, what pays so that you can have that stable life. Or, some people are like, I want to travel. It's like, man, we have to figure out a career that will support that will help to make some of that happen. And so I really appreciate you sharing all this, because it sounds like you have a set goal of stableness. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you have questions and thoughts about how to get there, and you're wiggling yourself through that. And it sounds like you're here at TCC so that you can do it at a financially reasonable price. Yeah, and
not that I'm trying to put down TCC being like, oh, it's a community college, it's whatever. But like, it so actually just makes everything easier. Mm-hmm. Because this is kind of a place where you can always come back. Like, you will see people who were grown adults, like past their 20s and 30s, coming back to do something for school, which also is just something helpful. Like, this sounds so dramatic, but like a quote unquote like beacon of hope. It like, that you can always come back and fall back here without it completely ruining you financially, because I know that's a huge thing for school. Yep. Like going to TU, a private university, which costs so much money, or OSU, a public university, but it still costs a lot more money. Going to like a church university, which like I think those are private, but they cost a lot of money. So it's just it makes it so much easier for anyone. Like, it's a lot more accessible, is what the word I'm trying to find.
Accessible is a good word.
It's a lot more accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
Because
I like that. I like that, man. Well, as we come to a close, we've been going in. We hit 40 minutes. Is that still on?
Movie recording stopped. Oh, yo, that's crazy.
Oh Lord.
All right. Well,
Is it on now?
it says something on the thing. It says has been stopped automatically. The maximum recording time has been reached.
Maximum recording time has been reached. So y'all been just looking at me.
How do you? I don't know how you fix that. Oh, okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Is that?
I'm
is
back.
that Summer? She back. Oh Lord, I'm so sorry. We gonna make it. Either
it's
way.
gonna be like the camera on you. You're
Yeah, it's
just
gonna be
like,
the camera on me just listening.
You don't know, I'm like out here waving my arms around.
But nonetheless, as we come to a close of this pod, I'm just curious, and this is what I'm chewing on, thinking about. What is a word of maybe encouragement that you would give to somebody who is resonating with some of the things that you're saying, like that you shared? What is like a word of encouragement that you would give to?
I know I said earlier that it doesn't always work, but that saying I said, ponte las pilas, like you gotta, like you can do it. It's
Yeah.
not impossible. If it, like, I know it's hard. I'm still going through it, but like you got it. You can do it. If you need a little bit of help, ask for it. I know it might be like you might think it's a little embarrassing, but I think it's a little embarrassing, but you still got to ask for help.
Yeah.
So you just got to reach out and hope for it, and you got to do it.
Gotta do it.
You got to do it. You can't start putting everything off for the last minute, because then that'll just make it even worse for you. Because even if you do complete your goal, it'll stress you out way more than if you had done it on time.
Yeah.
So just, you got it. Do it on time. Everyone believes in you.
Yeah.
No one thinks you're a failure.
I feel
I
that.
promise.
My the word that I've been sitting on over the last couple of weeks was just execute. It's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes the cameras are gonna cut off, but you just gotta keep recording. You know, and so just execute. No, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, no
Thank you so
problem.
much for being willing to be brave and come on here. And I am excited for this to drop. And for those that have been tuning in, I want to thank y'all for joining in to the Fitting Room Podcast. And if you like to join us on the Fitting Room Podcast, you can fill out the survey to jump on, and we would love to have you on. You can follow the Instagram page. It's the Fitting Room 918. That's kind of what we're
adding the
rocking
area
with.
code in
Yeah,
there.
we just 918, throw that in there. And also, if you want to join our community and just get updates on things that's happening, there is a phone number that you can text, and you can join our community. And we'd love for you to join our community as we're trying to make a positive impact here in Tulsa through listening. And that's the mission. Listening is the mission. So again, appreciate y'all for tuning in. I hope that y'all have an excellent and wonderful day, and I hope that you see how you fit in the fitting room. See y'all.